So let's fast forward to the future, and Bitcoin has failed. How did it fail?
I think it fails through irrelevance. Like it fails to be relevant to people on a daily basis. If it just ends up being store value and nothing more, I don't think it gains relevance at all. Like I think it has to be payments for it to be relevant on the everyday. Otherwise, it's just something you kind of buy and forget and only use in emergency situations or when you want to get liquid again. So I think if it doesn't transition to payments and find that everyday use case, it just gets increasingly irrelevant. And that's failure to me.
What do you think that we can do to mitigate that risk that led to failure?
I think, building simple, accessible experiences that solve the payment use case, making it scale, making it fast, like giving the speed of the Visa and MasterCard networks real competition. I think all that changes, and there's tons of projects to do that, and that it continues to increase in privacy and security and ultimately safety gives you a third option. And I think we always want a third option to the U.S. dollar, to the Chinese yuan. Having a third option for currency, I think, is important, and it keeps the other currencies in check and governments in check as well.
So Bitcoin is quite volatile.
Mm-hmm.
How do we get people to use Bitcoin as a currency despite the volatility?
Well, it's volatile. It's, only 16 years old, 17 years old. And I think on that time frame, anything just getting started is going to look volatile until people really understand it better and understand the use cases and have a different relationship with it. We all remember when we were 16 years old as a little bit of a wild time, and I think that's expected. And I think it's just going to take time. It's just continuing to make it more accessible, continuing to make it easier, continuing to make it more private, lean into the things that brought us all here in the first place and those principles. And, I think more and more people will turn their attention towards it.
How do you think that we can convince ordinary people like the moms and the dads that Bitcoin is in fact safe?
I think they have to feel it themselves. I don't think any matter of education or talking or videos or even podcasts like this, is going to change minds. They have to feel it. And we've been trying to do this with BitKey because it's like this physical rock and you feel it and it's like solid. And I think we just need more of that. I don't think the feeling of safety or the convincing someone that Bitcoin is safe is the problem. I think it's, what do I use this for? Like it goes back to like, is it just digital gold? And I put this thing and I forget? Okay, done. But like it's just not, it's not enough. Not enough for me. So showing use cases, and like you get out of the US, you get out of this bubble, you get out of Europe, you get down to Central America, South America, Africa. I've spent a lot of time in those continents, and people are using Bitcoin to buy coffee, and they're using it to buy dinner, and they're using it to pay vendors, and those vendors are going to restaurants that accept that Bitcoin, and there's tiny little circular economies happening, and that gives me a lot of hope. And they're not talking about the price. They're actually using it on a regular basis. What's happening on Nostr with Zaps is the largest at-scale implementation of internet magic money that we've been talking about for decades. That's actually paying for content, and it's working at scale. It's small scale, but it's still at scale. So these are things that like we need to study more and learn from, and like those are the reasons why people get in, and those are the reasons people will stay ultimately. So it's you have to feel it, and like we haven't given enough opportunity to actually feel the magic.
What advice would you give to people who are new to the Bitcoin space or who are thinking about jumping in?
Don't overthink it. Just play as much as possible. Like there's a ton of choices. There's a ton of ways to experiment. There's a ton of ways to see the space and contribute to it. And, don't follow any one path because you think it's right. Follow it because, like, there's a gap and you want to see it in the world and you want to build it. And, only good will come from that. So, yeah, play and experiment as much as possible.